Good day to our respected lecturer, Dr. Debita Tan Aileen. My name is Wardina binti Ibrahim, and I am one of the group members for this group assignment, Etymology and Development of English Lexis. As an introduction, this is our group members. So now, we are excited to present our assignment, which focuses on exploring the etymology and development of selected English words. The purpose of this presentation is to understand not only where words come from, but also how their meanings evolve over time, including both their literal and connotative senses, and how they spread across languages and cultures.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Nurbatrusha binti Amran, and today I will be explaining the word quarantine. So in etymology, quarantine comes from the Italian word quarantina, meaning 40 days. It originates from quaranta, 40. The term was first used in the 14th century in Venice during the Black Death, when ships arriving from infected ports were required to isolate for 40 days before passengers and goods were allowed to enter the city. So this practice aimed to prevent the spread of contagious disease. And we look at the language spread. So over time, the word quarantine spread into many languages through maritime trade, medical practice, and later global public health discourse, undergoing both lexical diffusion and semantic change. Let's move on to the lexical diffusion. So initially, quarantine refers specifically to a fixed 40-day isolation period for ships and travelers suspected of carrying disease. As the term spread into other languages like English, French, Spanish, and Malay, its usage gradually expanded across medical, legal, and everyday contexts rather than spreading instantly to all speakers. Next, for the semantic change, so the word underwent semantic broadening as its meaning expanded beyond the straight 40-day period to refer to any form of medical isolation regardless of duration. It also experienced semantic bleaching where the original numerical significance of 40 days faded, leaving a more general meaning related to disease control and public safety. The spread and stabilization of the word were strongly influenced by global health crises, medical institutions, government policies, and the mass media, especially during outbreaks such as SARS and COVID-19, which made quarantine a common term in everyday language.
Hello everyone, my name is Shazlin Shahila Mikirazio and my matric number is 2330360, and today I will be presenting word 2, which is emoji. My presentation will cover the etymology, the development of form and meaning, and how this word has spread globally in digital communication. The word emoji originates from Japanese, not English. It is formed from two Japanese elements, e meaning picture and moji meaning written character. So emoji literally means picture character. Emoji was coined in the late 1990s in Japan and was created by Shigetaka Kurita. Originally, emoji were designed for mobile digital communication, especially to help users express ideas and emotions more efficiently in short text messages. It is important to note that emoji is not derived from the English word emotion, even though many people assume that it is. This is a common misconception. In terms of form development, early emojis were very simple, monochrome pictograph with limited detail. Over time, emojis became more colorful, detailed, and expressive, and today, some are even animated depending on the platform. Eventually, emojis were standardized globally through Unicode, which allows them to be used consistently across different devices, platforms, and languages. Emoji meanings have also evolved significantly. Denotationally, an emoji represents a literal object, emotion, or facial expression. However, connotational meanings are more complex. Emojis can express tone, sarcasm, humor, irony, or emotional intensity, depending on context and generation. For example, the laughing emoji is often used to show extreme laughter. The skull emoji can represent humor or embarrassment rather than death. And the folded hand emoji may express prayer, gratitude, or even apology depending on cultural interpretation. Today, emojis are used worldwide via smartphones and social media and function as a cross-linguistic visual code. They are fully integrated into English digital discourse, although interpretations may vary across cultures and generations. In conclusion, the word emoji demonstrates how English Lexis evolves through technology, culture, and generational usage, making it a strong example of modern lexical development. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Nizatul Hanis binti Muhammad Nasrul Hisham with metric numbers 233000819. For the third word, I will be explaining the word robot, focusing on its etymology, language spread, lexical diffusion, and semantic change. First, let's take a look at the etymology of the word robot. The word robot originates from the Czech word robota, which means forced labor or compulsory work. It was first introduced in 1920 by a Czech writer named Karel Čapek in his play RUR, which stands for Rossum's Universal Robots. In the play, robots were artificial, human-like workers created to serve humans. These robots had no emotions and were treated like slaves, which allowed Čapek to criticize industrial exploitation and society's dependence on labor. Next, I will explain the language spread of the word robot. The word spread internationally through the translation and performance of Čapek's play in different countries. From there, it became widely known through science fiction, mass media, and discussion about technological development. As technology advanced, the word robot became commonly used in everyday language, especially in relation to machines, automations, and artificial intelligence. Now, moving on to the lexical diffusion. At first, the word robot was mainly used in literary and intellectual circles, especially among writers and academics. Over time, it gradually spread into newspaper, media, and scientific discourse. Eventually, as technology became more common in daily life, the word robot entered everyday usage, referring to machines such as industrial robots, household robots, and AI-based systems. This shows how the word slowly diffused across different social groups and contexts. Finally, I will discuss the semantic change of the word robot. Originally, in Čapek's play, robot referred to artificial, human-like workers created to serve humans. However, due to technological development, the meaning of robot has broadened, and today it can refer to mechanical robots, such as vacuum cleaning machines or factory robots. It can also refer to humanoid robots designed to resemble humans. And additionally, robot is used metaphorically to describe people who act mechanically or without emotion. For example, he is working like a robot. And to conclude, the word robot has undergone significant changes in terms of its origin, spread, usage, and meaning, reflecting the influence of technology on language.
So hello, I bid to Dr. Debita and fellow friends that are watching. I am Sofia Salihah binti Cherahim, and building on the previous points, I will now illustrate how language evolves by looking at the word disaster. So if we look at its etymological roots, the word is derived from Middle French disastre and Old Italian disastro. It is actually a compound of the Latin and Greek prefix dis, meaning bad and unfavorable, and also astron, which means star. Then back in the 16th century, the original meaning was literally an ill star event. At that time, it was primarily used in astrology to describe calamities or malign influences believed to be caused by the misalignment of celestial bodies. So this shows us that the words we use today often start with very specific and sometimes even mystical origin. So as we move to the modern days, we see a significant denotational shift. While it historically referred to misfortune attributed to fate or the stars, our modern definition focuses on sudden accidents or natural catastrophes that cause great damage. We also see a connotational development. The word moved from describing unavoidable cosmic fate to representing human failure or total collapse. So in our daily lives, we now use it as modern hyperbole. For example, saying the party was a disaster to describe a personal or social failure. But what's more interesting is its global influence. This word, which started as a niche astrological term, is now a standardized technical term used globally in international law and disaster management frameworks. So this perfectly demonstrates how language, much like the slang we use today, continually adapts and grows to fit the needs of a changing world.
To conclude our discussion on the words quarantine, robot, emoji, and disaster, we can see that these four terms clearly illustrate how English vocabulary develops in response to specific social, technological, and institutional contexts. Each word emerged to address a particular communicative need within its historical and cultural setting, and over time, their meanings have evolved in ways that reflect changes in society. Next, as a conclusion, we observe a consistent pattern of semantic evolution across all four words. Quarantine, for example, expanded from its original 40-day period to encompass any form of medical isolation, particularly during global health crises such as SARS and COVID-19. Robot shifted from fictional humanoid laborers to include industrial machines, software bots, and even AI systems, while losing the negative connotation of voice labor. Emoji, and then evolved from simple monochrome pictographs to colorful standardized symbols that carry both literal meaning and nuanced emotional or pragmatic signals, such as irony, sarcasm, or tone. Finally, disaster moved from cosmic fate to human-centered events, now used to describe natural catastrophes, technological accidents, or even everyday social failures. In several cases, we see semantic bleaching, where the original specific meanings or emotional associations of the words have weakened over time. In summary, what these four words teach us is that English is a dynamic, adaptive system. Words respond to changing human concerns, whether managing disease, exploring automation, expressing digital emotion, or interpreting risk and misfortune. Their meanings are shaped by both historical and contemporary contexts, as they illustrate how language reflects and adapts to society. Therefore, by studying these words together, we gain more than just definitions. We gain insight into how language functions as a living system, constantly evolving in response to social, technological, and cultural forces. Understanding this allows us to appreciate the interconnectedness of language, society, and communication, which is essential for anyone studying English linguistics today.
Hi everyone, my name is Shazlin Shahila binti Razio and my metric number is 233033680. Okay, so for part B, I will be discussing to what extent generational slang is important, focusing specifically on its role in expressing emotion and tone in digital communication. In my view, generational slang is highly important, especially in online and informal contexts, where communication mostly happens through text. Unlike face-to-face interaction, digital communication lacks tone of voice, facial expressions, and body language. Because of this limitation, generational slang helps fill the emotional gap that plain text cannot convey. For younger generations, slang and emojis are not just decorative, but functional tools that help clarify meaning. Okay, for example, when someone says, "I'm dead," with skull emoji or use the laughing emoji, they are not referring to death or just my laughter. Instead, these expressions convey extreme humor, disbelief, or amusement. So, without an understanding of this generational slang, such messages could easily be misunderstood. Generational slang also helps make communication feel more natural and relatable among peers. It allows speakers to express sarcasm, excitement, frustration, or affection quickly and efficiently. This is especially important on platforms like WhatsApp, Instagram, or TikTok, where messages are often short but emotionally expressive. Another example is how emojis change tone. A simple message like okay may appear cold or uninterested. However, adding a smile or thumbs up emoji softens the message and makes the speaker's intention clearer. This shows how generational slang helps prevent misinterpretation in digital communication or conversation. However, the importance of generational slang is context dependent. While it is very effective among peers and in informal communication, it may not be suitable for academic, professional, or formal settings. Therefore, its importance lies mainly in digital social interaction rather than all forms of communication. In conclusion, generational slang is important to a large extent because it helps younger generations express emotion and tone clearly in digital communication. When used in the right context, it enhances understanding, strengthens social connection, and makes online interaction more meaningful. That's all from me. Thank you so much.
As for me, I believe that generational slang is extremely important because it greatly improves communication efficiency. In today's fast-paced digital environment, people need to express ideas quickly and clearly, and slang allows this without losing meaning. For example, the term God instantly communicate that someone is the greatest of all time. Instead of explaining it in a long sentence, just one word carries the same meaning. Similarly, like stan, it does not just mean being a fan. It conveys strong personal support or enthusiasm in a concise way. These terms allow me to express complex ideas, emotions, and social attitudes in just a few words, which makes communication faster, more precise, and more impactful. And apart from that, slang also works well because it carries both literal and implied meanings. Why do I say this? Because using it, I can convey not only factual information, but also emotional or cultural context. This is especially useful in online platforms like TikTok, Instagram, or WhatsApp, where responses are often immediate. For instance, when I say lit, I can instantly show excitement or approval without writing a full sentence. This saves time, keeps the conversation dynamic, and makes my message more expressive. So to summarize, in my opinion, generational slang is therefore not just casual or playful language. It is a powerful tool that allows me to communicate efficiently, to express both literal and emotional meanings, and to connect with others quickly and effectively. In a world where speed, clarity, and social expressions matter, I think slang is an essential part of modern communication. Thank you.
Next, I will talk about social belonging, particularly in relation to the importance of the use of slang. First, slang allows people to feel included within a particular social group. When individuals use the same slang, it creates a sense of shared identity and helps them feel like they belong. This is especially common among friends, peer groups, and online communities. Secondly, slang also makes communication easier and more relatable. It allows people to understand each other quickly and helps to build stronger bonds during conversations. Because slang is often informal and expressive, it makes interaction feels more natural and friendly. Next, in addition, slang can differentiate generations. Younger people tend to use newer slangs, while older generation may not be as familiar with it. As a result, not using slang can sometimes cause someone to be perceived as not in touch with current trends or as older in age. Finally, slang is very important in digital communication, especially on social media platforms like TikTok, Twitter, Thread, and WhatsApp. Using slang helps users to engage more effectively and feel connected in online spaces. In conclusion, slang plays a significant role in creating social belonging by strengthening identity, relationships, and communication. That's all for my part. Thank you.
Now, moving on to a point that often gets overlooked. Slang is actually a primary driver of linguistic innovation. So many people dismiss slang as incorrect or lazy, but from a linguistic perspective, it is actually a sign of a healthy, evolving language. Think about it as our world changes, especially with technology, we often find ourselves without the right words to describe new social situations. So then, slang steps in to fill those lexical gaps. A perfect example is the word ghosting. Before that term existed, we didn't have a concise way to describe the specific act of cutting off digital contacts. Furthermore, slang is where the most creative play happens. It is a laboratory where we experiment with new metaphors and shortenings, so this keeps the language from becoming stagnant. And finally, it is important to remember that today's slang is often tomorrow's standards. So words like cool or broadcast were once considered informal or technical jargon, but they evolved into permanent features of our vocabulary. So by embracing generational slang, we aren't just talking trendy, we are actually participating in the natural centuries-old process of making our language better suited for the modern world. I think that's all from me. Thank you.